We're here on the NEC Front Row set with Northeast Conference Commissioner Noreen Morris. Commissioner Morris just closed the October Athletic Directors Administrative Meetings, and she's here to share with us a little insider information on what happened in the room today. First, we'll start with basketball issues. What was the topic of discussion when it came to hoops today?
We had some great conversations today about basketball. We have committed to basketball as our #1 priority here in the Northeast Conference, and so we start each meeting talking about initiatives that we're taking. The most recent, obviously, was our Basketball Media Day that we held earlier this week in New York City, the Barclays Center, and we had a number of our ADs attend the Media Day. So we had a recap of the day, and the returns and the reviews were rave. It was a first-class event. I think it was also termed as a big-time event. It was a great kickoff for our basketball season. We led that into a discussion of the basketball strategic review visits that I'm doing on each campus, and I'm halfway through the 12 institutions where I'll visit each campus and do a strategic review and come back to the presidents and the ADs with a number of best practices and trends, as well as some strategic initiatives coming out of those visits as well. So very excited about what we're doing with basketball and the progress we've made, and we're excited for a very competitive season.
You mentioned the word strategic, so let's talk a little bit about the strategic plan that the NEC is currently formulating. Of course, the NEC previously had a strategic plan that expired in 2012, and now you are charged as the commissioner to formulate a new one. What's the status, and also what are some of the objectives of this new strategic plan?
Yes, the NEC's council presidents adopted in October our next 5-year strategic plan, and this has been a work in progress over the last 6 to 8 months, in which we had extreme membership input, presidential input, athletic directors, senior administrators, as well as our faculty reps, and it involves 6 major goals. The first, obviously, as I've already expressed, is basketball, is to improve our basketball, both from a competitive side of the field, as well as the experience for the student athletes, the in-house experience, as well as our webcasting experience. So obviously the front row is a big part of our increasing commitment to basketball. And the other major goal that we talked about that is directly related to the basketball is our brand awareness and increasing the brand awareness of the Northeast Conference. And again, the front row is a huge part of that initiative. We are attempting to provide more content for our fans. Obviously, it's a free subscription model, so we want as many people as possible to see what we're doing here in the Northeast Conference, and what we did with Men's Basketball Media Day on the front row, as well as what we're doing with the Daktronics boards and each of our facilities is all a part about exposure, brand awareness, and basketball. So those are our major objectives at this point.
So you have the 6-point strategic plan, but the 2 that really are at the forefront are men's and women's basketball, and then, of course, brand awareness for the NEC.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned briefly there about the LED tables. So just another basketball enhancement. Mm-hmm. Of course, front row will be an avenue where fans can watch all of the NEC home matchups free of charge. Right. Of course, LED tables to enhance the in-game experience for those folks in the arena. What else is going on with basketball?
Well, on top of the Daktronics boards, we are also in the middle of a strategic review visits in which I will go to each campus and we'll review what's going on with basketball. We've also incorporated some marketing grants for each of our programs. We're in year 2 now for a marketing grant where we're providing each institution funds to help market both men's and women's basketball on top of what they're already doing in their campus level.
And how was the success of year 1 of that marketing plan? Did we see any increase in attendance at all?
We did. We saw an across-the-board increase in both men's and women's basketball, percentage-wise. So it was definitely positive result in year 1, and we're hoping to build on that in year 2 and 3.
All right, so a lot of exciting things here on the NEC basketball front. Let's shift gears a little bit. We're not going to let you off the hook just yet. Let's shift gears a little bit about the second half of the day in the athletic directors' meetings. What was the conversation there? I assume maybe a little bit about the landscape of intercollegiate athletics, of course the conference realignment, which is a hot-button issue still to this day, and I believe also some NCAA updates as well.
Yes, we spent some time talking about NCAA governance issues. In my role as chair of the Leadership Council, I was able to bring back some firsthand knowledge in terms of what's happening at the highest level in terms of the rules working group and the deregulation of the NCAA rulebook, and we talked about some of those proposals. We talked about the formation of a subcommittee to study the transfer rules and regulations and how best to position those as we move forward to help with the student-athlete retention academically and to deal with institutional impacts of transfers. So that's something that's just on the beginning stages, and our group had some great input and dialogue regarding the transfer issue and the miscellaneous expense allowance, which has been an issue that's been at the forefront for the NCAA. If you recall, there was a proposal that was adopted and then overridden by the membership, and so our group is trying to figure out how best to move forward with that particular item, if at all. And so we talked actually a great deal about the process and the politics of that particular issue. And then we talked a bunch about best practices within our league. We talked Robert Morris with Craig Coleman went over a fantastic student-athlete development program that they've put together, a leadership program. We talked about student-athlete education and when do you bring your students together and have effective and productive meetings. We talked about the free report and how institutions are reacting to that, especially within athletics, and how they're dealing with monitoring and reporting from the Clery Act as well as training. So it was a very good dialogue in which the administrators threw some ideas out there and really tried to learn from each other.
And obviously, a meeting like today is good practice for you personally. As you mentioned, you're now chair of the Leadership Council, so you'll have to sit in front of the room over at the NCAA offices in Indianapolis. And can you just give us a little idea of what the Leadership Council's role is within the NCAA infrastructure, and also what your role as chair of the Leadership Council is?
Oh, sure. The Leadership Council is a body made up of one representative from each of the 31 conferences, and we are charged with helping the board of directors in terms of dealing with the major issues facing Division I. Hopefully we'll become more involved in helping the board determine the vision and the strategic plan for Division I moving forward. We're much of a sounding board for many of the issues that are happening at the national level. So we talked about the transfer issues. We've created some subcommittee to study that. We will talk about the, again, the miscellaneous and expense items, but we'll hear reports from many of the other groups that report up through the Leadership Council to the Board of Directors, and just try to keep a pulse of what's happening in Division I. So my role as chair is to help set the agenda along with our administrative committee. And then next week, I'll go to the Board of Directors meeting and report out on what conversations we had at the Leadership Council, and to provide feedback whenever I can during the board's discussion of many of the issues that I've already mentioned in this interview.
So it sounds like you'll be pretty busy, not only being the NEC commissioner, but also chair of the Leadership Council. Yeah. Do they at least give you a stipend for that, or this is all the goodwill of your heart?
The goodwill of my heart, absolutely. It's a volunteer organization, so I'm volunteering my time.
Well, we're glad that you volunteered your time today to sit with us, so thank you very much for that. And
great. Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Once again, it's NEC Commissioner Noreen Morris here on NEC Front Row.